All right, welcome to Left Leaning Ladies. I'm Whitney.
I'm Amy.
I'm Chelsea.
I'm Sasha.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Meredith.
And today we're going to be discussing misogyny. Misogyny is having a moment right now. How do we raise better men? I want to ask you all a question. What's the most common sexist comment you've heard?
The most common?
Yeah.
It's hard to narrow it down to one.
I hear a lot.
Yeah.
I could answer. Well, so I would say something along the lines of like that none of us get laid, or that we're like, don't know how explicit I can be because that's how the comments are. But like a lot of them insinuate that we all like must be angry lesbians or, you know, like old cat ladies, and that we're all like dried up, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you're saying.
I get a lot of complaints about my Adam's apple. That seems rather sexist.
Wow.
If we're talking our comments section,
Yeah.
I get a lot of nasty comments about my looks.
Yeah.
Mostly about my weight. Yeah. Like, I don't see them critiquing a lot of men.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they do J.B. Pritzker. They do call
They
him
do
an
J.B.
asshole.
Pritzker, and Chris Christie gets it some too.
But man, they hammer home that I'm just some fat bitch who needs to shut up.
Right. And, you know, when Hillary was running for president, she got all the sexist comments about what she wore.
Yeah.
And nobody ever pays attention. I mean, unless you wear, God forbid, a tan suit. But if you just wear the standard dark suit,
And
you wear the same one every day forever, and men would get away with it.
Yeah.
Nobody would care. But some woman gets caught wearing the same thing twice on a campaign, and there's something wrong with that.
And Kamala and Michelle Obama were both just constantly berated about their hair.
Yeah.
Well, and Kamala, they also said that she slept her way to the top.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is virtually impossible to sleep your way to the top unless there's a man willing to give you favors to get you to the top.
An abuse.
So it's just as
position.
much his fault.
Well, and think about the like Mike Obama joke, how they
Yes.
constantly like,
Yes.
which that's both like a transphobic trope and a racist trope at the same time.
It is.
And poor Kamala, they reamed her for wearing tennis shoes while she's walking miles a day on the campaign trail.
Right.
Really? We have to do that in 4-inch spike heels just because we don't have a penis?
I mean, I'm seeing it a lot. I think the rise of the manosphere and the ultimate misogyny is being rewarded in the algorithm, right? So the algorithm is rewarding all of this controversy and our outrage. And so we're seeing it more and more. But I do think there is actually a shift in attitudes to go along with that. It's not imaginary. It really is happening. We witnessed Andrew Tate and his brother being detained and hopefully extradited to Romania to face charges on sex trafficking, rape, and all of these other charges, which are so serious, and they've gotten away with it for so long. And Andrew Tate himself is one of the most hateful misogynists there are out there.
And makes no bones about it.
And makes no bones about it. Some of his most controversial comments, I wanted to make sure I got them right. He is famous for victim blaming women for their own sexual assault, that they bear some responsibility for being essayed. He calls women men's property and says that a woman belongs to a man. He also has compared women in relationships to property and said that men should have authority over them, and while controlling women's earnings. So he has also been accused of setting these women up with OnlyFans accounts only to take their money. To me, that's like being a pimp.
You are a pimp at that
That's
point.
right.
Yeah.
His so-called university has a PhD degree, which he calls the pimping hose degree. And it is designed to teach young men how to get women to give them the money from the OnlyFans.
And part of that is like he's talking about how these women have to love them.
Mm-hmm.
So these women are falling in love with him. They're predators to their, preying on their emotions and, abusing them. It's insane. I also, and I know that some of you have watched the big documentary on Netflix on the Manosphere.
Yeah.
And I rewatched it in preparation for this episode. And it is one of the most eye-opening things. As a woman, we don't generally see those things. We don't know what men are talking or what they're watching on the internet. And it really gives a good insight into what these men, what young men are watching. If you haven't watched Manosphere, it's Louis Theroux Inside the Manosphere on Netflix.
And I want to just say, it's not just young men. Like,
Yeah.
I researched this. 52% of boys 11 to 14 have already interacted with this content. And I know we talk a lot like about Andrew Tate, but he's not the only one. He just has figured out this formula where you find like lonely boys who don't have that role model, who lack confidence and who are looking for it. And they're sold this self-help.
Yes.
Like, it's not packaged like hate at first. It's packaged like they're going to help you. They're giving you an answer, and they're giving you a confident answer. I mean, that's one thing. They're very confident and bold with what they say. And then once they have them hooked, then it's just like they hear all these snide comments towards women. And then it's just like second nature to be this way. And I mean, I can't believe that these are our young boys that are getting this content, and they call it like red pilling. And I wanted to kind of define some of these things that are talked about in the Manosphere. So the red pill is the idea that it's borrowed from the Matrix, that men have been asleep to a supposed truth, that feminism has rigged dating, relationships, and society against them. Taking the red pill means accepting that worldview as reality. And that's like really talked about a lot. Then they also talk about black pill, which it's like, even researching this, it said not to go into it because some of it can be very dark, some of these topics. But this is a darker, more hopeless offshoot of red pill thinking, where red pill guys believe they can still win if they follow the right rules. Black pill guys believe your looks and status are fixed at birth, so nothing you will ever do will change your romantic outcomes. This is the belief system that most link to despair and extreme cases, the violence that we're seeing from men, especially like what we call incels. And incels are an involuntary celibate. They're men who define themselves by an inability to get a partner and blame women collectively for it, rather than any one person or situation. And a lot of times when they're talking about or talking to these young men, they're talking about being a high value male.
Yes.
And they bring that up a lot. And the high value male is a self-improvement framework that's really a status or dominance ranking system. So they're showing them the money they have, the cars, the women, and they're all showing it off as like, see, if you can just follow these small steps and you act like I act, you can have all of this. And for these young boys, it just seems like, well, they're searching for answers, and they truly go online searching for these answers, and this is what they're fed. It's insane. And so also alpha and beta. So the Manosphere culture is alphas are painted as dominant, desirable, they're in charge, and betas are cast as weak, passive, unsuccessful. Basically, the insult these spaces, they shame boys into this. Like anything that isn't of what they're saying is beta, so they just shame that out of them, basically.
I know, like researching that with a beta male, so-called beta male, they would call them soy boys. You know, and
like hear that all the time.
Well, and there's a lot of dehumanizing language for women. So if you go on those forums, oftentimes they don't use the word woman; they use the term femoid, because to call somebody a woman is humanizing them.
Or female.
Female, femoid, or just foid.
I think it's interesting what Chelsea touched on too. In all of the things that I looked at, which there's so much out there, we couldn't possibly touch on everything, but it's like these men who are afraid to lose their status and their privilege. They see that as unstable, and they turn to the Manosphere for some stability. It's kind of like racism. So they're afraid that their race will be overtaken by another race and will lose their privilege in that. It's that kind of
they're losing their power to
Yes.
women,
Mhm.
and they don't want to keep losing
Right.
their power.
Yeah.
But I think it's because it's that dominant feature. Women are not searching for that anymore.
No.
And I think more women are like, I know for me as a young girl, I used to prioritize boys. I was boy crazy and thought I just deferred to men a lot in my life. Like the men just were right. But now the older I get and the more I've learned and like pulled back the layers, because I even feel like I had misogyny built into me just being a woman growing up around all of this.
It's
Sure.
woven so deeply into our society that I think that you have to, everybody, whether you're a man or a woman, you have to unpack that.
Yeah.
It's been a big topic at our house this week. What's misogyny and what's misandry, and is it happening, and how do you see it happening? And it kind of made both my husband and I think a lot about things that we just accepted. It just is what it is,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
never really gave it a thought.
Yeah. It's insane, the things until you like really sit and think about it and like pull back those layers of like, why do I just think this automatically?
Another part of that too, and Lisa, you always joke about being the trad wife because you don't work outside of the home.
Right.
And
Because I'm the trad wife. It's not a joke. It's just a statement.
But this rise of the trad wife kind of goes along with what these male I shouldn't even say influencers. They're not influencers. They're terrible Manosphere people. They want the wife to, stay home, take care of the children, take care of the house. And, if that's, I've always said feminists, it allows for it. If that's what a woman wants to do, they should do that. Whatever the woman feels comfortable doing, what they see their role in life as, that is allowed for in feminists.
Right.
That feminism, that's for sure.
Yeah, I keep telling all these MAGA guys that are griping all the time that I'm actually every MAGA man's dream.
Yeah.
They just are too dumb to notice. But it's true. They want the stay-home wife that puts
Yep.
supper on the table every night at the same time. I've done it for 35 years. I mean, it just is what it is. And that was one of the things that we were talking about. My husband and I, we both grew up in extremely traditional homes. And I grew up in a very traditional Southern home. I'm from the group that if you're at a large gathering, women eat last. It just is what it is. Men eat first, then the kids, and then the women.
I still do that.
Yeah, it's just
because
the-
that's how I grew up
it's
seeing my
just-
grandma serve everybody.
It's just
She
the way
ate
it is.
last.
And I don't look at that as Miss Andrea. I look at that as everybody's going to get the hell out of the kitchen and we can clean up in peace after we're done eating and we can chat as long as we want. They have to move on down the road. But I guess maybe it is misogynist and maybe, it's,
I grew up
never-
like that.
yeah. And I never really thought about it. And I've come to realize that I have very defined thoughts on what is manly.
So do
So I'm very guilty of misandry because certain things to me, on first glance, I'm like, oh, that's not a very manly guy, and
Yeah.
that's just wrong. I mean, I shouldn't be that way, but I am. I own it. I am that way, and I have to try to do better.
Yeah. I mean, we all have those kind of thoughts and, as long
Biases.
our own biases, we recognize them and do better. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of life.
With that being said, I grew up kind of the opposite as Lisa. I grew up with a dad who did like all the same things as my mom. He took us to appointments. He was very emotionally intelligent. And I honestly didn't understand feminism at all until I was old enough to start dating. And then I started to notice what everyday misogyny looks like, which is a privilege,
Yeah.
honestly, that I took for granted most of my life.
So to spin off of that, my grandma was divorced in 1954
Wow.
and raised my mom by herself along with 2 other children. And she worked as a waitress. That was just, I wish that she was alive so that I could talk to her and think about all of the things that she had to overcome being a single woman in the
Yes.
50s and 60s and 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not remarry. She had a lot of things going on. Like she was working as a waitress and she was, maintaining everything, but she couldn't get a loan because you had to have a man's signature on a loan. So she rented and she never drove. So she took the bus system. So it was just, I just admire her so much for being able to do that.
The bravery to get a divorce at that time
Yeah.
period in history and to just go out on her own. I mean, she had to be a tough girl or she would have never done that.
For sure.
Yeah, she was a strong lady.
My grandma didn't get to live the life that she wanted to. She told me this herself until she was in her 80s. And she used that as a lesson to me to not stay with a man for the kids.
What a great lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say we have talked about men who, in the manosphere, part of their shtick is to be like the ultimate toxic, in my mind, alpha male. And part of that is being physically fit. So you'll see a lot of the podcasts that these guys are running are about fitness. They're about making tons of money. They're about, protecting their women, even though it's only a one-sided misogyny kind of thing. So like the woman isn't allowed to cheat or be with other partners, but the manosphere person is. And part of it is they don't believe in depression. They do not believe in it. They don't think that males can be depressed.
Men aren't allowed to feel.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of men who place that on the woman. And I feel like a lot of women are begging the men in their life to take their mental health seriously.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and that's also part of what I looked into, just in the sense of how like being like an anti-feminist can harm men too, because men, they have the same emotions as women do, as everybody else does, but they aren't encouraged to express like the full range of emotions. Like just as an example, some people might look down on a man if he cries.
Yep.
And what the research shows is that sometimes when you bottle all of that up, it can come out as anger, because that's one of the only things that you're allowed to societally express.
Yes.
And that's part of what is meant by toxic masculinity. Like anybody can be toxic. That's a human trait. That's not a male trait or a female trait. But it's talking about that within the context of our own society.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that like you're supposed to call this out, right? So we're supposed to call out when you see this toxic behavior with like these men and young boys. When you see, like when they bring up one of these guys from the manosphere, you're supposed to, say something about it. But that's even ingrained in how they treat them. Like that if somebody calls out this behavior, like they're the enemy, like they're just a soy boy or a simp or whatever.
Exactly.
So it just like pushes them deeper into that hole. And I really think that this isn't just young men. I really think that this has been happening.
Yes.
Like, and I think that now we're seeing like men who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s and even older that we see online have definitely been in the manosphere. Like they consume all this content too, older men.
Yes. I think it's true. We are seeing online harassment. How many times have we seen "make me a sandwich"? That comes directly from the manosphere.
Yeah.
Calling women females, like we talked about, rating women's bodies, interrupting women in person, and just the microaggression around interrupting and mansplaining.
Weaponized incompetence.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
That's a big
That's
one.
a big one. People,
And then also questioning women's expertise. So, and I've had this happen to me a lot in various fields that I've worked in. If I say something to a man, they don't take it seriously. But then when another man says exactly what I just said, then they're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
yeah, I'll have a great idea and it's like nobody gives a shit about it. And then a man will give that same great idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, he's amazing. Like,
Right. I think of that.
oh,
I think-
okay.
Yeah. And
That-
that's been going on for centuries.
It
Yeah.
has. And what I'm disappointed in, Chelsea, is that it happens in supposed safe spaces.
Yes.
In supposed spaces where it's not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
It can happen anywhere. So what should boys be learning?
So, I mean, just in general, they need to learn healthy versions of masculinity. So, just as an example, being a protector, standing up for people who need it, and then just also full accountability in your own relationships. So just as an example of that, like I've heard so many times, like when dad goes to watch the kids or he's babysitting.
Oh, I
it's like,
hate that.
He's
Yeah,
parenting.
I
He's
hate that.
parenting his children.
That sends me over the edge. I'm not going to lie.
And just showing that it's okay to care. It's okay to cry. Like, it's totally okay to be who you are. And that doesn't make you any less of a man.
Yeah.
I think it's taking not just telling these boys this, but having men who implement this and show them.
Yes.
And that's where it's hard, because I look around in our neighborhoods and there's a lot of grown ass men who are parenting, and I fear they're like parenting from the Manosphere.
Wow.
And like just from what they say to Rosie, you know, at school, and some of the ways like she's already seeing like misogyny at school and how she's treated. And so it's like, that's a little scary, you know, that even the generations that are coming, we need good men, and we know good men. We just need them to like make sure that you are out mentoring, I think, more young boys. There needs to be more of that.
I think we also need to take into consideration what we teach our girls too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still somehow societally acceptable that you're going to teach your boy how to mow the yard, but you're not going to teach your girl.
Mhm.
Right.
Or
I
how to
call
change a
bull on
tire.
that. You know,
Independence.
I think that, you know, if at 12 years old your kids learn to mow the yard, you shouldn't skip the daughter and go down to the next youngest son. I think they should have to learn to
That's
do it
one
too,
thing.
for
Like,
sure.
even though my dad was pretty strict on like how gender roles were, he still had me out mowing the grass, and I helped cut down things. Like,
Yeah.
I still had to learn how to take care of myself.
And
so-
I think a lot of families don't do that.
No.
Though a lot of families, it's, you know, the sons mow the yards, the sons help with dad do all this hard stuff, and the daughter somehow gets a pass.
Yeah.
Well,
And I don't think she's earned a pass just by being a girl.
Right. I was daddy's girl, and I was taught to do those things, but I wasn't necessarily always forced to do those things. I think, like, he taught me how to mow the lawn. I know how to do that
Yeah.
stuff, and I think that is absolutely necessary, but maybe it was a pride thing. He just enjoyed.
He enjoyed
Doing
taking
it.
care of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad was more the, hey, the pipes are frozen, let's go kind of dad, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so I was there doing it. And I think that needs to happen, if for no other reason than if you do end up being a woman that isn't with a man, you have some idea of what
Yeah.
he's
How to
talking
take
about.
care of
Yeah.
yourself.
It's good,
Yeah.
would be good for you to know what to do in those situations, because you don't expect to import some man to do it for you. So
Yeah. Well, for me, that just doesn't work at all. Since I don't get them.
it's because, you know, where are you going to get one? So you guys need to know how to do that stuff as women. And
But
I don't
as-
think we should ignore that.
As a mom of boys, I think that teaching boys how to manage their own emotions is a big deal. Like I said, emotional intelligence, I think, is a big deal. And I don't feel like a lot of grown men know how to manage their own emotions. And then also teaching them from a young age to respect women and girls. I tried to like really put that in my boys' head. And my oldest son is 9. And he, this past year, came home from school upset because other boys were telling him that he's not a boy and he can't sit with the boys. He has to sit with the girls because he's too nice to the girls in 3rd grade. And I find that to be alarming. Maybe I'm dramatic, but I think that is alarming.
That is. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's bullying. It's
It
a
is.
form of bullying.
It
And it's because those little boys have been treated that they're weak because
Yeah,
they're kind.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's kind.
They're
Exactly.
bullying him for being nice.
For being nice to girls. Like,
They always labeled when I was a kid, any of the nicer boys were gay.
Oh yeah.
oh, yeah, absolutely.
If you didn't
Absolutely.
fit the mold and
Yeah.
you were a boy, you're gay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think too, a lot of these men, like we talked about, they don't have a lot of healthy role models, and I
No.
also think they do get kind of jaded by listening to more feminist discourse because they might take it the wrong way and think that they're inherently bad because they're men. So
Yes.
therefore, when they see some dude from the Manosphere offering something that kind of boosts their own self-esteem, they're going to take that advice regardless of whether or not that's good or bad.
Yep.
And then a lot of this too, I think it'd be solved by just going after people you're compatible with. If you want to be a trad wife, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And if you're a male seeking a trad wife, that's cool too. But find somebody that you're compatible with.
Yeah.
Who wants that.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah,
Can't
nothing
force
wrong
that
with
lifestyle.
that. I mean,
There's nothing wrong with that. Like, of course, I think there's like pros and cons to any type of lifestyle
Absolutely.
that you choose.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's just like don't try and force someone into this mold that you want them to fit so badly just because you find them to be attractive.
Yeah.
I think that's the feeling I really got was like the currency, the exploitation between the men and the women in this toxic environment. The men provide fit bodies and money, and the women provide cleaning abilities, children sometimes, but really just their beauty. I mean, that was it. That is all that you heard over and over again. They have no other substance. There's nothing else. There's no compatibility. There's no, deep conversations in my mind.
No.
That's it.
It's all surface level, just how it all looks on the surface.
Yes.
And that's, I think, I've been with men like that. And then you get to the real, and you're like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
You like pull off the Scooby-Doo mask and you're like, no, he's just a dumbass.
Surprise.
And you just keep pulling them off and you're like, there's so many of them.
And that's why there's a male loneliness epidemic.
Yes.
Women don't have to
No.
rely on men anymore. So now they're only seeking that connection. And there's a lot of people out there who just don't have it.
And women that are changing their connection later in life, like deciding, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't deserve this. I have a way to get out. I can make it on my own.
Right.
Yeah.
I
In
have
their 40s, late 40s and 50s.
Yes,
And
I-
I
back in
admire
the
that
day,
so
You
much.
couldn't get out.
Yeah.
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 I've
not
seen
so
a
much.
rise on my TikTok of like women choosing to live together and combine their incomes and have a beautiful home. And like, even some of them are like divorced and they raise their children together.
Yeah.
And they're realizing they don't have to put up with that. And I'm even seeing it like when I was younger, like we all brought our boyfriends home, for Christmas, even as young, like teenagers, everybody, we all had boyfriends. All of us girls were just obsessed with having boyfriends. And now I don't see that. Like, no, my nieces and stuff aren't dating like they were when I was younger. I feel like they're just not out in search of that male attention, really.
Yeah, it's definitely different today than it was when we were in high school. I was thinking about when I was doing this, I was thinking back about the misogyny that like Whitney and I witnessed when we were in high school and college, and Howard Stern kept coming to mind.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Every man loved Howard Stern. He was so disgusting. It would make my stomach hurt to listen to some of the things that he did to the women that came onto that show.
Yeah.
It was disgusting. And he was just worshipped and epitomized, like just, he was just the be all end all. And I don't know. I think he has apologized to a few of the women that he hurt, but just so disgusting that was allowed and that it was encouraged
And celebrated.
and
I mean,
celebrated.
And it
Yes.
was prophetized.
Yes.
People
Yeah.
paid him to
Oh,
do that.
absolutely.
And I'm sure
And
if
he
you
even had disabled people on there that he would make fun of. I
Yes.
mean, I can't believe how much traction that show got with all of the terrible, indecent human things they were doing on there.
On the other hand, why did the women keep going on his show?
For notoriety and money. I mean,
I
were getting
guess,
paid.
but you
I mean,
know,
part of like Andrew Tate's big thing, and a lot of these Manosphere, they prey on women to go and open OnlyFans accounts and do whatever they want to do and, reap the benefits and get the money. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why anyone does
well,
things that
sure.
maybe-
I just feel the Howard Stern show is a little bit different in that most of the women that went on that show were women that had a certain amount of fame on their own.
True,
They were,
that's
they
true.
were in a known entity. They weren't
True.
just trying to get traction in the business, but they would still go and listen to that crap.
That kind of humor
That's
was
a good question.
rampant back then.
It was.
Like you
Our
could
movies.
say,
Yes.
I
And
showed my girls movies from the 80s and they're like, oh my God, how was this even on like the
Yeah.
theater?
Yeah.
That girl, like, she didn't even, like, what is going on? But yeah, it's shocking.
It
Like,
is, yeah.
those movies were completely normal to us when we
Yes.
were growing up, and I'm watching them now. It is shocking.
You know, what's her name? Molly Ringwald she's very progressive, and she talks about the movies that she made with the lack of diversity and then the misogyny and
blatant racism and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, to look back on it, you're like, oh, I grew up with those movies. I love those movies. And then you watch them today with your new eyes, and you're like, wow,
Yes.
it was just ingrained in the culture.
It was.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that feeds even more into this, because they see that always like we're trying to change everything,
Yeah.
A lot of these men are just want to have this free pass of the hate and misogyny. And Donald Trump has given them
Oh,
a free pass. I mean, as soon as we all heard grab him by the pussy,
Yeah.
like it's like they all cheer. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
men who
Yeah.
cheered and said that like
Yeah.
as it was funny.
Yeah. And that's perfectly, it's just locker room talk.
And if you have an opinion against it, then you're just being an emotional, dramatic woman.
a Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karen.
Yeah. All men talk like that. Or the one I like is women talk worse than that. They do.
No, we don't.
No.
No.
No,
Can't say that I've said that.
no.
I can only speak for myself, but not something I witness. Yeah.
And like the stuff that has come out about Trump and stuff, just seeing the comments from other women telling me that like, well, he wasn't convicted,
Right.
and so they don't believe like it. That infuriates me.
Yeah.
He was.
I know we
found
talked about believe the women last
guilty.
week, but like
Yeah.
it just pisses me off because we have women just this week who are just thinking that it's like it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like this is fine.
Yeah. They will contort themselves in any way they can to preserve their cult leader.
Yeah.
protect him. Well, what can we do about this? So we've talked a lot about what is going on. There's so much more. But what can we do about it? What do you guys think?
Fact checking them,
Yeah.
call them out on it.
Yep.
If you like, even my husband, there will be times when I'm, and not in a confrontational way, just like a conversational way. Like, hey, we do this, and this is the way it is, and I don't like how this is.
Yes.
And then he can correct his behavior, and good men do correct their
Yeah.
behavior.
And
Because they listen.
the good men need to be calling out other men,
Yes.
ultimately, in my opinion, because like I said, those men are not going to listen to women.
No.
No, that's true. And I think the good men calling out makes a difference. I think it's a difficult thing for a good man to do in most situations because, speaking out against your friend group is always difficult. But I think we also need to pay attention to the things that we as women allow other women to get away with saying about the men.
Yeah.
You were just discussing how annoyed you get, and I got that way too when people would say, "Oh, it's nice of dad to babysit the kids for you."
Yes.
He wasn't babysitting, he was parenting.
Yep.
Yes.
But as I was talking to my husband about all this week, he said that he always found it infuriating if he took his kids to the park. People are always like, "Oh, it's so nice of you to take time to take him to the park." It's my kid. Who else is going to take him to the park?
Right.
It's kind of part of the deal. And I think we don't notice those little microaggressions on on our side of the fence as much as we need to, and we need to try to do better about that too. And maybe that will encourage more men to do better and to not just go along with those things if they see us kind of push back a little on the things we see women doing.
I agree with
That's
that,
fair.
Lisa.
Mhm.
And stop normalizing the behavior.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my experience when I was growing up, I was around men who appreciated women. So I know men can do better. I know because I was surrounded by men that do. They were supportive of women. They thought they deserved a voice. I never knew the difference between until I started dating.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's it's how you're raised, and it's how, you know, the values that you hold. And also, another point that I wanted to make was that we don't think men need to apologize for everything. They just need to do better and recognize the behavior and correct it. And the main point is that the opposite of misogyny is not weakness, it's respect.
Yes.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my
You don't
thought.
have to make one big, huge change. You don't have to change who you are as a person. Just when you notice you're doing these small things, then take accountability for it and move forward. Nobody's asking for anybody to be perfect. I know I'm not a perfect person.
Right.
Nobody is.
And we all have said here, like, we have misogyny in us, but we consider ourselves feminist. I think all of us here, and we still struggle.
Oh,
you know what I
sure.
mean,
Yeah.
with these things and
Absolutely.
centering men. In
I am
certain
absolutely
situations.
dumbfounded every time I meet a woman who says, I can't cook. How do you not cook? I mean, how is that even humanly possible? That you just can't cook? It's bizarre.
Nobody's.
But see, that's the misogyny within me. I assume that every woman has at least, I don't know, 15 recipes stuck in her head that she can whip out at any given time and make something.
Lisa, you would be sorely disappointed at my house. Another part that I kind of researched when we were going through it, and maybe you all have seen it too, to go along with the rise of misogyny and the manosphere and the toxic masculinity, there's another phenomenon happening where women are literally shrinking. So it's an interesting topic where when women start to rise too much in power, the beauty standards become more and more unattainable. Have you guys all seen that?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
So now we're seeing these like famous actresses who were already thin to begin with becoming impossibly thin.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like so thin they look sick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Unhealthy.
you don't want to, 10 years ago, it used to be about being healthy, about body positivity. And we're not seeing that as much. And I almost wonder if it has to do with the rise in misogyny and the way that these men are calling women out for their looks, their holding them to a higher beauty standard. I almost wonder.
And I also think that we are starting to see as women that some men are attracted to prepubescent bodies.
Oh, yeah.
To that thin, no body hair, this certain look. And I feel like some women almost play into like that. And I see a push against that now. Like on my TikTok, more women are like not shaving their armpits.
Yeah.
Not shaving the bush, doing different things because they see that there's all these standards, like women need to have their nails done. All of these things women have to be as women, you know? And I think we have to fight against that a little bit, like just as far as feminism,
we all have our faces out there on social media, and it is a little bit hard to read comments about yourself. It really is.
It really is.
I don't care how strong we all think we are. It's not cool. I mean, no one likes that. Yeah. So how perfect would you have to be? There's no amount of perfection that you can attain.
No,
There's not.
the haters are going to say something nasty no matter what it is. And then if you're too perfect, then they'll call you like a bimbo or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Take the filter off, Sasha.
I know. I know. How dare I brighten my videos?
I loved that when we were like, that's actually what she looks like in real life.
She's got flawless skin, and there's nothing we can do about that.
She's our beauty.
She is.
You guys are so sweet. But another part of the shrinking and thinness, where I was researching a little bit, and there is cause for alarm that women are now being a little more quiet than they used to be. Their personalities are shrinking too. And I just wonder if that is happening in response to the manosphere and the toxic masculinity.
So think about when I feel like I'm the time machine, like father time here, or mother time, whatever. when we were in college and high school, and Kate Moss was super popular, like the waif model.
Yes.
That was when a lot of misogyny was happening. That was when Howard Stern was popular. Songs were being made about women that were degrading. So that is kind of the same culture that we're experiencing right now.
Only worse.
Only worse. Yeah, all over again. And it's being celebrated possibly even more than it was back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah. I feel like they weren't as blatant with it as they are now.
Yeah,
like,
they held back a little bit.
They're calling for us to not be able to vote. And that we should be making sandwiches. And it's very blatant. Women are property. Whereas, in the 90s, they're definitely I did not see that.
And my dads, I had a stepdad and a biological dad, and both of them never lost their masculinity because they supported women.
No.
And they never had to make women smaller to feel bigger.
Yeah.
And I just don't understand why it's so important to bring a woman down, to make yourself bigger and make yourself better. I just don't understand.
Well, and in some ways it kind of infantilizes the men, like when they expect a woman to cook and clean and do all this stuff. It's
mom.
Can you not do it yourself? Are you incapable?
Right.
And that kind of goes back to the weaponized incompetence thing where it's like, there's no right way to load the dishwasher. It's like, yeah, there is. So they'll mess up the task so badly that you won't ask them to do it again.
In my house, we talk about closing the loop.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do the laundry, fold it, and then put it away. Like close the entire loop.
Being responsible for the entire task.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more complicated in everybody's house except mine.
It's just a trad wife,
It's
Lisa.
just not complicated. I mean, if he loads the dishwasher, it's loaded. I don't care how it's loaded. If it fits, it ships, man. I don't care. I don't have those kind of.
Well, there are some men, like with the weaponized incompetence, like that will purposely like mess up these things. And then their wife will go, you know what? That's why I don't have you do this. And they'll just take over. And those men know
they can get away with it.
They can get away with that by going, well, the kids don't like it, when I watch them, or things, just little things like that. And then they get out of it. And then they are like basically getting us for our labor.
Yeah, they're having another mom.
Yes.
Yeah. But when they're single, they can magically do all of those tasks.
Yes.
Right.
Or I guess
Exactly.
sometimes they just don't, But
Yeah, there's that.
Maybe their mommy comes over. I don't know.
Probably.
I mean, that's probably another facet to this too.
Yes.
Do they have a mommy who is allowing that to happen?
Enabling, yes.
I don't know.
I've seen that.
oh,
That was it.
oh, sorry.
That was it.
Then
So, Amy, you always have some really great recommendations because you're a huge reader. So, are there some books that maybe you can recommend on this topic? Because I think that would, if you want to read more about it.
Yes. So these are all fiction because I just love them. So my first recommendation is The Handmaid's Tale, of course. That was very difficult to get through because it's pretty close to reality in a very odd way. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was an amazing, amazing book.
Such a good
Finished
book.
it. Such a good book.
Oh, you got to read it.
Meet the Newmans. I found it so interesting. It was in the 50s, and the wife of a screenwriter, the screenwriter ends up getting into an accident, and she has to take over his screenwriting. And of course, they tell her, well, we're not going to let a woman write. And it was really, really good. And another one that I didn't even really think of, but is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. They all had to survive while their father was at war and, forge relationships and make it on their own. They were cutting wood and they were, fixing things in the home. And it is fiction, but that's a really good representation from so long ago that women are capable of doing more than just cooking and cleaning. And Yeah. So, and I'm also reading, I think I talked about this in the last episode, but Yesteryear. If you have not started Yesteryear, or if you were reading Yesteryear, please leave a comment because it is so good. It's about a trad wife who wakes up and it's 1855 and she's living the actual trad wife. And it's such a good book. So I would love to chat with people about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I actually want to read, in all my research, there's a book that I want to read, and it's The Beauty Myth by Naomi Wolf. And that's kind of going off of the impossible beauty standards. It is a topic that I am kind of interested in. I've always been kind of interested in it. And I actually had a list of books on the same topic that might be of interest to other people, if you're interested in that. One came really highly recommended, and these are not books that I have read myself, but I would like to read it. One by Bell Hooks, Feminism is for Everybody and the Will to Change. That one was highly recommended. And one from Susan Bordeaux called Unbearable Weight, Feminism, Western Culture, and the Body. So just some books to kind of leave you if you are interested in some of those topics.
And I haven't read this one personally, but this came very highly recommended as a nonfiction. Down Girl, The Logic of Misogyny. So, and I kind of looked it up and it looks like it's got a lot of great information.
Awesome. Well, any last thoughts, any parting thoughts on this topic? What did you think that it was an interesting topic to explore?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting, kind of sad.
Yeah.
But gave us a lot to think about.
I am glad that Tate's in jail, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Hopefully they throw the book
I guess
at him.
on the subject of him, I just want to know why all of these young MAGA men are so enthralled with him while busily hating Muslim people, which he is.
I know.
Yeah.
They make no
Somebody
sense.
please explain
It's
that to
always
me.
a conundrum.
Always.
Just leaves you with a
Hypocrisy
head
is
scratcher.
Hey, if you know the answer, put it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to know.
Yeah. I think the moral of this whole episode is that just do what decent people do. Just be kind to women and be kind to everyone and teach, the people that you're surrounded by, help them recognize behaviors.
Remember
in a
what
nice
your
way.
kindergarten teacher said. Just be nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Just be nice. Yeah.
Our parting words: women aren't asking men to be perfect. We're asking them to be partners.
Yep.
Ka-chow.
All right.
I had to.